When and why did you first start playing guitar?
Well, I started playing guitar when I was sick of playing piano. I took piano lessons for about 5 or 6 years when I was really little, starting from when I was about 5. I probably picked up the guitar when I was 11 or 12, basically because my brother played guitar, and I wanted to do everything he wanted to do, like most little brothers. And I guess I started playing just because I didn't really feel like I could express myself playing classical piano. And, now I have the most respect for the piano as an instrument and players that can play piano. But back then, I just didn't really seem like I could create stuff on my own, and the guitar seemed like the tool to do that.
It seemed like a modern context kind of instrument.
Yeah, cause I wanted to be creative. I wanted to, play things differently. I heard things differently, but um, the way classical music is performed and the way that the whole world works is, you're performing a piece that was written specifically for a reason. That's the way it is, and that's how you play it. And I just kind of felt confined from that.
So, I mean, what do you really love about playing the guitar as an instrument? What do you find exciting? What keeps bringing you back to it? Obviously, you've been doing it for a really long time.
Right? Well, that's a tough question, Benj. Why do I continue to do it? I think over the years of playing guitar, I've come to understand terms that I never understood before, like tone or feel and stuff like that. And as I got older and um, as I played more and more guitar, I realized what people were talking about, and those things are just so addictive. To a person who doesn't understand what those things are, like myself when I was younger. Um, the feel of playing a certain note or hitting a certain chord and hearing that certain tone is just very addictive to me. And that and always wanting to create, I think that's what keeps me going.
Very nice answer. So, why electric guitar most of the time over acoustic guitar? Or is that a ridiculous question because people just see you playing electric more than they see you playing acoustic?
I I love the acoustic guitar. Um, the first guitar that I ever played on was an acoustic guitar. It was actually a nylon string classical guitar, which is funny because I wanted to get away from classical piano and I picked up a classical guitar. But that was what was around the house. It was my dad's old guitar, um, and it was actually really easy to play just because the nylon strings. Um, and from there, I remember my brother got an actual acoustic steel string guitar, and it was really hard to play. And I wouldn't say that actually deterred me from playing acoustic guitar per se. I think I picked up electric guitar because all the guys that I listened to and I really respected and um, enjoy the guitar playing, they're all playing electric guitar. Um, and it was also when the whole grunge era of music kind of took over, and there were some really big influences that, um, not just on me, but I think our whole band.
Like who?
Um, Pearl Jam was definitely a huge influence. You know, Even like in the '80s, before that came, The Cure was a big influence. Um, and that made me want to play electric guitar. Just the getting the sounds and being able to pull off the technique that they pulled off. I think that was mainly the driving force.
So, why Fender guitars?
Why Fender guitars? Well, here's a funny story. When I first started playing guitar and I wanted an electric guitar, I had a couple $100. And by default, I actually started playing Fender guitars because the only thing I could actually afford was a Mexican Strat. And I think back then you could get it for like 250 or 300. Um, and the other questionable guitar would be Epiphone Les Paul, which was, their lower bass price version of, a Les Paul, and that was like $400, and I couldn't afford it. So I ended up getting this Mexican Strat, and it's interesting because of the way a Strat sounds. I think that had a lot to do with the way I play. I think the way our old records sounded, um, just that clear Strat bell-like tone. Um, and I can honestly say I think some of the songs would sound, of course they would sound different, but I think our band would kind of sound different, if we weren't always using Fender guitars. makes sense.
And now that's still true. You find that's still true.
Oh, it's definitely a staple, you know, in our music. You know, it's my go-to guitar. You know, of course, there's other sounds that you always want to explore and do other things in the studio and live, but ultimately, a Strat, I feel like home when it's in my hands.
Okay. What's the difference between playing guitar on stage
Mm-hmm.
at a show
Mm-hmm.
and in the studio? Cite like a few differences.
Okay. On stage, you don't have the option of. I mean, you have different colors. You have pedals that color your tone and for different sounds and stuff like that. But you know, in the studio, you have the option of sitting there and going through every single amp and every single option, and just getting really anal about it. On stage, it's pretty much what you got. That's it, and you just got to run with it and make it work. Um, on the flip side, you know, of course, the energy of playing guitar on stage completely, you know, out energizes the guitar playing in the studio. For me, at least, you know, I know for a lot of guitarists, it's the other way around. But you know, we've always been a band that fed off of, you know, live energy and, you know, just the five of us being on stage and feeding off that. I don't know. It's two different worlds, and you know, there's great things about both, and but I'd say on stage is where I have the most fun.
What are you having for dinner tonight?
What are we having for dinner tonight?
That's right. We're
We're
having dinner
having
tonight.
barbecue from Hoggly Woggly's. We have a combo of chicken, spare ribs, and beef brisket.
Unless someone ate them before we got
And
back.
that's why we should wrap this up so we can go eat.
Thanks for taking the time for this interview.
Thank you. Good
on
questions,
Fender,
Ben.
Fender.com.
Yes, Fender, you rock. Billy, you rock.